Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing The Beach House 2 weeks in a row. Just young people making very questionable decisions about drugs and who to give them to and what to do with them. We might need to do a service here, John, tonight and give some advice. Yeah, I think you're muted, which is fine because I'm going to keep talking, but I'm just
I'm
letting
not
you know.
muted.
Okay.
I just didn't want to. You were on a roll. I didn't
I
want to
got
get
it,
in
buddy.
there. No, I'm going to a beach house next week. I felt like this was educational
Yes,
for me.
we'll talk. Believe me, we're going to talk about it. But before we do that, my name's Eric. Joining me tonight, first up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello, and John at the beach house. Don't be the old weirdo eating edibles.
From Chicago, Illinois, wearing
Definitely.
some kind of weird quilted sweater in the 90-degree heat, please welcome Joe.
Hello, sexual people.
He's got like a ribbed, like zip-up hoodie thing. I don't know what's happening over there.
It's like a track jacket or like a running jacket.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I've actually worn this a bunch of times, and you've complimented me on it multiple
Well,
times.
it's just like 100 degrees here today, so I'm thrown a little bit. That's all. I know you're not in the same place as me. But...
Well, you know.
And last up tonight, from wilds of the Eastern Seaboard, parts unknown, the business manager at bloodygoodhorror.com. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Hello, Eric.
John, I may or may not have tried to see if I could use some of my old photos of you as my background tonight. Didn't work out, but I'm not giving up yet. I'm gonna have to make
if it was like a quilt.
Yeah,
of
well, I'm gonna have to make a
pictures.
collage. I mean, I have Photoshop, John. I can make it happen.
It's good for you.
A
I say
patchwork quilt of John.
Yeah, exactly.
let your imagination run wild.
Well, John, and then I was thinking alternating like Steve Zahn and like all the other people that you look like sometimes. The many faces of John Schnars.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Before we do that, though, that'll be the rest of my week. But before we do that tonight, next up on the docket, Joe, please tell us what we are drinking tonight.
Beer guts.
The beach house. A fun little tale about a young couple on a weekend getaway. And in honor of that, the couple, the boyfriend named Randall, which reminded me of another beach town, Rehoboth, which
Yeah.
is in Delaware.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of another item that I enjoy, which is a Randall put out by the good people at Dogfish Head Brewery at their ale house there. So the beer I picked is their Ale House 75, which is you can also they bottle this regularly now. It's their 75-minute IPA, which is pretty much a mix of their 90 and their 60-minute IPA, and then they actually add maple syrup now.
They just pour them together. Like,
Pretty much, I assume. But the reason I picked it is because the first time I went to the Dogfish Ale House, which was years ago at this point, they had just kind of unveiled this thing that they created called the Randall, the Enamulet. I forget what the full name, but they call it the Randall. And pretty much what it is an attachment that they put on their taps, and when they pour the beer, when they run the beer out, they can actually run it through this filter and they fill it. It almost looks like a
So they like dry hop it on the way out or something?
yeah, it looks like a blender, right? So like they just put hops in this like blender attachment, and it pushes the beer right through it, and it has like this super hoppy, like fresh flavor.
I've seen bongs like that before.
Yeah, exactly. Probably where they got the idea. I've had it like a bunch of different beers on tap there that they've run, like their peach ale that they've done. They ran it through like fresh peaches. They've done like a bunch of different ones. It's really great. And they actually started selling this thing, so like other breweries have bought them and like kind of picked up on it and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I've talked about Dogfish Head a lot, so I don't need to really go into like the beer and the style and everything. It's obviously like a super hoppy beer. But it was just like something super cool that I thought they did, and like kind of, like they experiment a lot at their ale house and at the breweries, and I thought this was like a really cool idea that they had. So yeah, dogfishhead.com is their website, and they distribute pretty far in North America. I think about a year ago they announced like this merger with Sam Adams.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get even bigger. So yeah, definitely try their stuff.
Love it. Rehoboth Beach, Quite the
Beautiful
place.
country.
Isn't that where? Yeah. Oh, never mind. I was about to say something super dumb. I'm gonna move on.
No, please do.
John, I used to be quite the connoisseur of bongs. You might find that surprising.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
What? People making beer also smoke marijuana?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm an appreciator of art, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very educational, Joe. I have never heard of this thing, and now I'm super interested.
It's not. Yeah. I mean, I've heard of it. Just like, yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's great. Like if you get the chance to go to any of their breweries, like the Rehoboth Beach one is super fun because it's like the original, and the brewery isn't too far, so you can go take a tour.
They were at a
but-
couple of the extreme beer fests I went to, and now I'm wondering if I saw it, and that's why I.
I'm sure you did, yeah. Like I remember, especially if you went a while back, like it was kind of their
It was
big
ye-
thing that they
years
would
ago,
pull
yeah.
out. Like they would put like their 120-minute through it, which would just like.
I mean,
you
this
know,
was when I could actually drink regular beer, so yes, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, they're
There you
great.
go.
I mean, I love those guys. Like I was a little bummed when they did the merger with Sam Adams, but like I get it. Like you're trying to make a buck, and I know Sam, the owner, is like trying to retire at this point. But
Listen,
like
man,
they just invented so many like amazing things and like did such like crazy outside the box stuff that like.
but if you're a place
even
like
if
you're a place like
yeah.
Dogfish Head though, like you can sell out and they're gonna let you do whatever the fuck you want to. They're just gonna give you more money to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
you can,
Yeah.
but I appreciate that they're not just like selling out to like InBev or something. Like,
well, that's
'cause-
different. But Sam Adams is like, I mean, Sam Adams is huge, but I mean, isn't that a whole thing? How
Still,
like they're
technically
still
it's-
able to qualify
yeah.
as craft, but they're massive.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely recommend these.
Love
guys.
it. Thank you for that, Joe.
Thank
I
you.
always say this, but Dogfish Head made the best gluten-free beer I've ever had in my entire life, and then they did like a round of it and stopped making it like years
The
ago. I had it.
Squeeze-On? Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
it was incredible. It was like had strawberries and honey in it. It was so good.
I remember.
they never
trying
made
that.
it
I think
again.
It was good.
Such is my life. All right, guys, it is time. Let's take a quick break and discuss the beach house.
This is it, Shudder. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
And we're back. John, can I get an update on whether or not you washed your hair today? It seemed important last week.
Sorry, muted. And I'm also just mapping where I live now to the Dogfish Head Ale House in Gaithersburg. Yeah, I think I did wash my hair this morning, so
Okay.
feeling good, feeling fresh.
Yeah.
Got a little bounce to it, you know.
All right.
How
I
far
was
are
going
you,
to say,
John?
Eric, to your comments on Google Chat, this is what happens when you wash and condition this hair.
Yeah, you 100% look like that old South Park episode with the emo kids pushing their hair out of their face. Just wanted to let you know that.
Exactly.
Very Cure video today. John, you learning any new words in quarantine? You taking time to better yourself and try to bring something more to the show, or?
I've been reading more than I had.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's a positive.
I have not, but that's fine.
Well,
I do.
teach
what I
his
want.
own.
Yeah.
Smoking the marijuana, maybe? I don't know.
I said in the past, John. Come on.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
not cast aspersions here. And by the way, it's illegal here because I live in a cool place.
was-
so
That was
there you are.
jealousy in my voice.
Yeah, no, I got it.
I made a legal weed joke on a conference call today, like, because like people were talking about like CBD and stuff. And I just made a joke like, "Oh, I live in Illinois. We don't have to bother with that." Like,
Yeah.
just like dead silence.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Apparently, it's
You ever go into one of those
Can't-
stores? You can smell them from like 20 yards away. It's like
amazing.
you've
Well, I
waited your
remember
whole life.
We went to Denver like shortly after they legalized it, and the entire city just like smelled like it.
My favorite part about the ones here is that as part of like whatever, it's Massachusetts, so everything was just way over regulated out the ass. And so like they have to have cop patrols outside of every store every day when it's open. So you pass right you walk by a cop to go into the store who's there to just like maintain shit, and that's his job all day, is just to stand there. It's like the weirdest. And then you pass him again on your way out with whatever you came out with, and it's like life's weird, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
John Schnars.
And then you get thrown into an unmarked vehicle. Is it-
yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's different. John
we should
Schnars,
joke.
please
Yes.
bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, abiogenesis. That is abiogenesis, ABIOGENESIS. Abiogenesis is the original evolution of life or living
Oh.
organisms from inorganic or inanimate substances.
You trying to give me some creationist bullshit right now, John? Or
No, I mean,
Just
so
kidding.
I didn't do a ton of research, but I think this is more or
No
less
kidding.
accepted. Well, no, I mean, like I know a little bit of science, but I think this is like accepted theory now. I mean, it's the concept that life on Earth. There's like two theories. One is like it came from outer space,
came from
and there was like
asteroid or
living
something.
shit on an
Yeah, yeah.
asteroid, yeah. And the other theory is basically like, no, it just like started through random shit that happened here. And this is the random shit that happened here.
It got pooped out of a
Theory.
Portuguese man of war, and then you had people.
Yeah, exactly.
what happens.
What about the actual truth, John, that it started with Adam and Eve?
Well,
Where does
I
that
mean,
fall?
Yeah.
listen, I'm still connecting the dots, but it's.
I went to that museum, John. There's a dude riding a dinosaur, okay? I'm just saying. That's science.
Somebody posted something on Slack about like a conspiracy theory that connected. I can't even remember, but it made a similar joke. Yeah, the origin here probably not hard to guess. The Greek bios meaning life, Genesis. I don't know, probably from the Bible.
From the Phil Collins.
Yeah, exactly.
From the Latin studio.
Yeah.
You you might be curious, what does this have to do with a movie called The Beach House?
I mean, I'm not because I watched it, but
Well, it turns out The Beach House, the film, has a lot of sort of random scientific exposition and conversation sprinkled throughout. And a lot of which like circles around or is focused on this idea of astrobiology, which is sort of the exploration of the origins of life, mostly focused on deep sea. And one of the main characters, the sort of female main character, I guess you could call her the main character overall. She talks about how she's studying astrobiology, and I think even goes into the whole abiogenesis sort of concept. So
beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
she goes on about it the way that college kids do the first time they learn about something profound.
yeah,
I've been there, bro.
one might say.
Listen, I read oh shit, I can't remember the name of it. I'm gonna look it up. I read a ton of new age horse shit in college. All right, John.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me about the beach house?
The Beach House. I mean, so I think this hit our radar as a Shudder release. I was gonna say Shudder original, but I think it's also available on Amazon Prime for folks who might not have Shudder. But it is available on Shudder. That's how we kind of saw it. So this comes to us from director Jeffrey Brown. Did a little digging on Jeffrey Brown. It's a directorial debut. But Mr. Brown he's been around a little while. Almost all of his credits, and he has 40, 50 credits on IMDb, come from location management and location scouting.
All right, so
which is actually
we're branching out here. I like it. And there's a
Well,
lot of
it's
great
got-
locations in this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Because in a lot of ways, I think he also wrote the script here, I should say. So it's an auteur experience we had here with Mr. Brown. But yeah, I mean, this film in a lot of ways, it's called The Beach House. That's not sort of like a catchy or there's not like a subliminal message in that. It takes place at this beach house. I'm gonna ask, and because I didn't look. I would guess this is in New England, right?
They
It
didn't
looked-
say
it looked-
in the movie, but I looked up. It was filmed in Massachusetts.
Okay, I was gonna say that looked like there's a lot of areas of Cape Cod that
Yeah.
are like, because
for sure.
kind of what's cool about it is it's underdeveloped, like very grassy, like scrubby beach and stuff, and that's not kind of like plowed over and smoothed out.
Admit it, John. That's your Airbnb, right?
It's a cool. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. Yeah, I got that. I didn't know, but I got that vibe. That's where it was.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been like Martha's Vineyard, even.
Yeah,
It's that same kind of.
Well,
You know,
John,
it's
regular
on-
people go to the Cape. Schnorr's people go to Martha's Vineyard. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. In any event, it looks like
Like Portman Summers in Martha's Vineyard. You know,
I
like
bet it's not
Obama has a
Indiana.
house there. They don't let people like me in Martha's Vineyard.
It was not Indiana. I was pretty sure it was not Illinois, but otherwise, no. I mean, so it's a beach house, and this young couple, they're two. IMDb describes them as two troubled college sweethearts.
It's
The
really
only
mostly
of them-
one troubled person
Yeah,
and the
it's-
person she
it's
has
like
to deal with.
Yeah, it's a delusional guy, and then this girl who's with him, his girlfriend, who seems like a regular person
I was
who's
gonna
very
say
interested in
giant
astrobiology. so-
pouty man baby with like a brilliant woman. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so they show up at this house. It's his father's house, and they haven't told the dad they're coming. They get there. There's sort of like a little, funny business going on, and then she goes downstairs and finds out that there's actually other people in the house. It turns out that it's friends of the father. The father's essentially like let them stay there. We get a little bit of backstory on them. I mean, not a lot, but enough to understand that the mother, or the wife rather, is very sick or has some sort of terminal illness, and that they're kind of just having a nice time at this house that they have kind of the run of. So the young people and the old people decide to stay, and as you do, they decided to experiment with edibles.
As I always do when I'm
yeah.
hanging out with what's a 50-year-old? I don't know, pentagenarian. What the fuck it's called.
Yeah. I don't think we use that.
We don't do
term,
that
but-
until we get to the
A
70s. I get it.
cinquagenarian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cinquagenarian. Sure,
exactly.
I'll take that.
But yeah, and that kind of like, so that kicks off this experience that they have where they see sort of like glowing things in the water and on the beach that at first, and for a large part of the film, you sort of don't know how much of that is their perception and how much of it is happening in real life. But, it kind of accelerates, it gets weirder. And then, more spooky shit starts to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, John. Was it
Sure.
was it the yawn that made you wrap it up, or
Well, it's a visual cue. I can take those every once in a
it's
while.
like the point,
Sure.
I'm just yawning today. It's not you, buddy.
I-
Hey, Joe, what do you think of this?
So I hadn't even watched the trailer for this when we decided to watch it. I know a lot of people on Slack had said they had watched it, and I think there was a few recommendations, and I think we even got a couple tweets about it, which I guess should have been my first tip off. But
You know what's horrible? I really have the same reaction as you on a lot of that stuff now.
Like it, I don't know. The premise of it I thought was decent enough, right? Like we kind of set up this couple. They're obviously having trouble. They start interacting with this elderly couple, and you kind of think weird stuff's going to start to happen. But it eventually turns into, I don't want to call it like a zombie flick, but it's definitely got that sort of vibe to it. I don't know. Like I keep trying to figure out where I think this fell flat, because I do think the premise and the setup, had some real potential, but even like the visuals when we get outside and like the purple stuff is happening and like, everybody's high, that seemed fun and all. And then even like the next day on the beach, there's some interactions and, we'll get into it, but like there's some, I don't know if they're practical effects, but like, some minor creature stuff that's going on that I thought was pretty interesting. But then once things really start to amp up, like it just kind of felt like they were throwing stuff at a wall, and it didn't really land for me. So yeah, I wasn't a giant fan.
Casey.
Yeah, I got into this one. This movie's kind of feels like there's two separate movies kind of slapped together here, and the first half is distinctly different from the second half, and I think overall both halves of this movie aren't necessarily a bad movie. They're just not necessarily made to flow well together. But as we talked about, first-time filmmaker and stuff like that, there's a lot of potential here. Everything looked really good. I like the ideas that were going along and the underlying stuff, and the fact that it kind of left it open to interpretation as to what's going on at the end and whatnot, like the Man-of-War talk versus alien talk, stuff like that. But with the way this movie starts out, the first half of it, the tone and pacing of it, which isn't bad. It is a slower start to a movie, and it's got its elements, but then they take that right turn and at the halfway point, and it just doesn't feel like a connected movie because the pacing's changed up so much differently, things like that. That was the biggest problems I had with it. But overall, not a bad watch.
John.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably gonna come out the hardest against this movie. So I like respect what the movie's trying to do. I think it does do some interesting things. Um, it just ultimately ended up not working for me in a lot of different levels. I think most of my complaints, I would put them in two camps. I had a lot of issues with the script, and some of that is pacing and things like that. But I thought like the meditative tone was kind of interesting, right? I don't know if we haven't talked about it necessarily, but there's a lot of interspersing of just random visuals. That it's like water bubbling.
Lots of lingering
It's like
shots.
yeah.
And some of that stuff I was super there for. Like the cover shot of the film is the girl coming up the steps, and that shot when it's done in the film is really really nicely done. It's like a full 10-second full beat of just stillness, and then you see her head come up over these, and like so there is skill and there's some interesting stuff going on. I thought the dialogue was borderline like
it's
listenable,
pretty it's pretty heavy-handed. And like what's the guy's name, Joe, the older male, like this guy's really well known.
Jake Weber.
Yeah, I mean he's by far, and I mean the woman who plays his wife too, but like I mean they're clearly like more experienced actors and like carry a lot of it, and then they kind of disappear like halfway through, which is like
I don't know. Is she? I don't know what I know her from. I don't know if I've seen anything else with her in it.
She I didn't recognize her, and she doesn't even have a picture on IMDb, which is always like a sign of like,
Ew.
no,
she doesn't even have a house on Martha's Vineyard, Joe.
Joe, this is her only credit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe somebody he knows like always wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
She's pretty
I mean,
good
like,
if it's her first.
She wasn't terrible.
I mean,
like,
it's
by any
possible.
means.
I suppose she could be like a theater actress or something too, right?
No, totally. Well, sure. It is. That's weird though. You do not see that very often anymore.
Are
Where
you
someone...
sure, John? I'm looking right now, and there's.
Are you on IMDb? Marianne Nagel plays Jane, and she it says one credit actress.
Yeah, no, I'm looking. It's weird. I'm on another Marion Nagel, and it has a ton of entries, but it does not have this movie.
So all right. So her agent is doing a poor job of maintaining her IMDb presence. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in any event, sorry, Marianne Nagel, noted actress.
Noted thespian.
No. I mean, Eric, just to like wrap up quickly, like I found
Please.
I found Randall to be. I mean,
No, he's a shithead.
Oh,
he's a young man.
Yeah.
So, but like
I had a bigger problem with this dude than anybody. I don't want to start this
Yeah.
again, Joe, but anybody last week, because they're at least like
I'll 100%.
they're
agree with you.
adults
You'll
dealing
get
with
no
their own
argument here.
shit. Like this kid is just a fucking pussy, like mouth breathing college kid who needs to
Yeah.
grow the fuck up.
Hold on. But are you talking about the character or the actor? Because I thought
It's kind of it's the character mixed with his face, and like
Yeah, I think the actor is super punchable.
yeah.
I also just like couldn't. I just didn't think he was a good actor. Like
No,
didn't
I don't think. Yeah, I think the girl is better, but both of them are obviously green as actors. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. But
The
they're
moment
being
I
asked.
saw him, I said like,
They're being
if I walked into a party and was wondering who had roofies, it would be that kid. Like,
no. I have one. Actually, Joe, I'm okay. I'm not always on board with you. I'm 100% on board with that.
yeah,
But like they
see how far we could take this.
I mean, the problem is they're being asked to carry the movie, right? Like,
well, no, exactly. And
completely.
when you have like multiple bad performances, like some of that comes down to like the director. Like you gotta maybe do like more takes. I don't know. Like you gotta know that it's not working.
John, are you mansplaining to the director right now?
You know what? I feel comfortable enough saying it because this movie it doesn't work.
Maybe try it again.
But if he didn't know that it wasn't working, like that's on him. Like,
You want
that's a
him to
problem.
go full Kubrick, like you don't want him to stop until everybody's crying.
Why not like find another actor then?
yeah.
It's
yeah.
like,
At a certain point, you gotta cut bait and be like, this
Yes.
this isn't working.
All right,
Plus,
so
like,
I'm pretty.
All the women on the set are super uncomfortable.
I'm pretty on board with you guys. Like, there's a lot of like really well put together visuals in this movie. I'm pretty on board with the first half. Like, it actually in a weird way reminds me of the first half of The Rental a lot. And then it's like you put a bunch of characters in an unfamiliar place, and you don't know what's going on. Like, you know something's going on, and there's kind of an interesting like quiet tension, and they're clearly trying to go for like kind of a slow lyrical thing. They're really leaning into the nature shots, right, and the environment, and they're really laser focusing on water and things where like contagions might travel, right? Like in the beginning. I really liked all of this. I do think that the the movie gets, I think, really intriguing once this older couple shows up, because the two actors are just, they made me so deeply uncomfortable in the first act of this movie. Like, the guy, he is so finely riding the line between, like, he might just be an overly friendly old dude, or like he might be a serial killer. You have no idea. She looks like, now I felt bad later because obviously, like, she's sick, and but that's not a piece of information they drop until later. But I'm literally looking at her and I'm like, this looks like you picked up a homeless woman and all you did was give her a haircut.
Oh, wow.
I'm just
Damn,
saying.
dude. Marianne Nagel, when she hears this, it's gonna
But like,
be...
but no, but it makes sense later.
Noted thespian.
It makes sense later when they tell you that she's sick. I mean, obviously, like, they were leaning into that, you know what I mean? But they don't give you that piece of information until like an hour in.
Well, yeah, and when they go full, like, when
Weirdo
she's
and
like,
high.
that's one of the scariest parts of this movie is when
Yeah.
you see her in like full monster mode. I was
Yes.
like, oh my god.
Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting because they do a kind of a rope-a-dope with all that stuff too. I do think it's hilarious that this kid was like, hey, we're hanging out at this beach house with these creepy people we don't know. Let's give them edibles. Which, like, okay, dude. But his, I don't remember the guy's name. The older dude. It's probably my favorite stoned performance ever. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody act high before and just been like, yeah, that's kind of what it's like sometimes.
Yeah,
Like,
he gets it.
there's a scene
Yeah.
where he's trying to, I can't remember, he was washing something or he was washing
Yeah.
his hands, and it's like, you just fully feel like he's trying to concentrate on it so hard to the point where he's not doing anything. Oh man, I felt that so hard. And so, like, I just think his performance is really amazing, and like, that part of the movie got me really intrigued. And it leads up to probably my favorite visual in the movie, which is the girl basically being overwhelmed by these, like, this sensory experience and passing out on the floor. I think that's the best visual sequence in the movie. It actually made me feel like disoriented and kind of nauseous. And they do this cool thing where the camera locks to her movement. So when she falls, you kind of like fall over with her, and it's like really messed up. It's literally 45 minutes into a 90-minute movie, and then you fade up on the next day, and it's kind of like you're watching a different movie from that point on. And because at that point, 45 minutes in, you don't even really know that it's a Contagion movie. You kind of do, because there's a scene with the cloud that rolls in and stuff, which is a pretty cool visual. I know Casey brought up The Color Out of Space. I don't know that the movie's like entirely doing that, but certainly there's a parallel there with that visual in particular. The second half of the movie, I just think they don't really bring it home. It didn't seem like they knew exactly the themes they wanted to run with, or, like, for starters, there is no clear, like, outline of what this thing is doing, so your threat is never clearly defined, right? Like, there's a really involved scene with a parasite that comes out of, like, sea life. It's the only time
Well,
that
when
really
she's pulling that parasite out of her foot.
this is the most horrifying scene in the movie by far.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll
that's
put
a-
forward another one later, but we'll come to
But
it.
my
That's what I
point
was
is,
gonna say,
like,
like, I
that
thought
doesn't
that
really
scene
that
was
doesn't
really
really happen again. Like,
Yeah.
the cool, like, trippy cloud thing that happened at night doesn't really happen again, because then it's just fog the next night. Like, it's not even the same
Yeah.
shit you're seeing. Or it's like then people are melting down, or like they're foaming at the mouth, and I'm just like, what is this fucking thing? Can you just give me one thing? Like, it's like a zombie. There's the reason you get tension in a zombie movie is because you know what happens. They get bit, they slowly get sick, they turn into a zombie, right? There's no, like, A to B here of what we need to be afraid of, and the different characters, like, she's just as exposed as everyone else, but it seems to take her twice as
Zero
long to have
issues.
anything happen
Yeah.
to her, and the thing that happens to her has nothing to do with what. So, I guess my point is just, like, it seems really inconsistent to me the second half. They didn't seem to fully know how to bring it home, and they really have this, like, ending visual that I made, like, a fart sound out loud to myself, because, like, I get it. They're trying to go for this really profound thing, and it does kind of play into, like, her character and this, like, long soliloquy she gives early on, but it's super unearned, and it's, like, a really bad effect. They literally just, like, faded two shots together, and you're just like,
Yeah.
so that kind of
There's a
sucked,
lot
because
of-
I was trying to, I guess my point is, like, I was trying to be charitable to it, but leaving me on that last image, I was like, God damn it, guys, come on. But I
that
do
was-
think, like, and then I'll stop, but, like,
No.
the point about
the
the point about being a first-time director is really important. Like, I think there's a lot of promise here. I think visually this guy has a lot of talent and eye for stuff. I just think the script needed a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe don't write the next one. Would be.
I mean,
Or-
Joe, I would say that of all, unless you're like one of the, like, top 20, like, auteurs in the world, I would say that about almost anybody. You should be working with a creative partner who can, like, help balance
Yeah.
you out. You know what I mean?
It's kind of the same problem Rob Zombie has. He needs somebody to kind of edit out and organize his thoughts.
It's kind of the same problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the defining problem.
I mean,
The, My issue, Eric, you talked about that final shot. Like, to me, that was like, if I had to make a list
It's
of
so cheesy.
wonky like FX that they used, and there's a ton of that. Like, I don't know what you would call, if you call those like camera effects, or I mean, in olden times they were camera effects, but now most of it's probably done in post. But like, they're just, it's like weird, like depth of field stuff, and then like, oh, the edge of the frame is blurring. Like, there was a ton of that if you do it with a lighter touch, I feel like maybe it's a little more impactful. It just got to the point where I felt like they literally were using every one of the filters that they had available in, whatever editing software they were using.
Yeah.
When you get Photoshop, John, you want to try them all out.
Yeah.
Well,
oh,
and I
get
did
it.
think there were some
It's
cool
expensive as
visuals in the
fuck.
second half, like, but again, it's like I don't know if this was budget or what, but like, what was the night before this cool trippy thing with spores floating in? The next night was just like a CVS fog machine going on. And
Yeah.
they get a couple cool
Yeah.
moments where there's environmental lights that are color lights that are then like coloring the whole environment because it's bouncing off of the fog. And I actually think they could have done way more of that. Like, I would have gone full Argento and just had different environmental lights, like changing
Yeah.
what things look like, and they kind of don't.
And why not lean? I actually loved some of the just like creepy creature effect shit. Like, when she sees all that stuff on the beach, again, it's weird and it's sort of out of nowhere to a certain extent, but I'm there for that. Like,
Also,
they could have
like,
done more of that. I would
Those
think.
things are all
Well,
those
then
things
the
are all gone in the final shot. I mean, I guess you could just
Yeah.
argue that they like disappeared or something, right? But
Well,
Eric's
pot
comment.
stickers don't last long, Eric. Those are delicious, and people are
they
going to
do
come eat them.
they do look like pot stickers.
Eric's comment though about how with the plot and stuff and how it works better, a movie like this works better if we know what they're up against and how they're getting infected and stuff, I think is probably pretty key to my feelings on this movie too, because the biggest problem with this movie is they try to do that stuff, but it's all done in two plot drops. We have the first one when the girl's talking to the couple they just met about her major in college, and she's gonna major in cosmic biology or whatever. And then the second one is when they break into that other house, and when the mustard gas looking fog was going everywhere, and then they turn on the radio, and the radio's trying to spell out what exactly is going on in the background too. But both of those happen in dumps. They're not sprinkled out throughout the movie to help us build it and stuff like that. So it kills any tension you have.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
The second half of this movie is all over the place, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of bounced around it, but like, I just feel like the first half an hour has so many like little things that they throw out there that end up having no relevance later on.
Well,
like,
should we talk about the soliloquy?
Yeah, I mean, specifically, that's the one that keeps sticking. Like, there's two things that really stick out to me. One, the tension between the couple, right? Which
so
end
awkward.
up having like no relevance later on. And then two, yeah, kind of this speech about how she was, she's gonna go to school for whatever the hell it was, John.
Well, she does mention, I think it's in that same soliloquy. So she went to study astrobiology,
Yeah.
and she's going to do deep sea diving, which does become very relevant when she knows how to use the
Yes,
regulator
yeah.
and mask.
I guess.
Well, it's like I think the
But,
problem with that speech is it goes on for like 5 straight minutes. It's so on the nose, and she's talking in this like breathy college like, oh, and then like to have it only because it's not like she offers insight, or it's not like, because it's part of this reminds me of like, I feel like this guy definitely watched Annihilation, because one of the coolest things
Yes.
about Annihilation is the way that the people who go they go there thinking they're like fighting something or trying to learn something, and by the end they all end up accepting it for this beautiful destructive thing that it is, and like some of the characters literally embracing it. And that's what is so really profound about that movie. And I kind of feel like he's trying to impart some of that on this character, especially with the end shot, right? Because the end shot is really about her like letting go, but it's just not. It's not Annihilation. Like, it's just not
Yeah.
nearly as like like.
Well, it
I don't
is.
know.
I mean, so the point about
Subtle.
the point of the lack of the definition of the baddie, right, is like it's everything. It's the environment, right? Basically the environment has become polluted, and whether or not this movie is a polemic or trying to say anything about environmentalism, I actually don't necessarily think that's the case.
Well,
Yeah, I
except
think so.
except that I think one of the news reports says that it came out of like melted glacier or permafrost, or like, didn't they say something
Okay.
like that?
Did it? I missed
But
that.
it's literally like it's when she's in the house, and this was actually another cool scene where you're getting environmental information about the world from like a TV news report, but it's like very post-apocalyptic, because I think the TV station is down, but there's a crawl that points you to a radio station, and then she turns to it. It's like in that, but if you're not super laser paying attention to it, you'd miss it.
Well, and also,
No, to
all
be
right,
clear though, she just turned on the radio and it happened to be tuned to the AM station with the information.
but like at that point, it's like, who gives a shit where it comes from? I mean, my point was more that I'm actually generally okay with the lack of definition and just accepting the fact that, hey, you're basically like totally fucked here. I mean, eventually it becomes a like, will she escape type of scenario, and she does figure out a way that, at least in theory, she's going to escape. Where I was going is the scariest part of this entire goddamn movie, and it's probably as like anxious as I've been as watching anything in a while, is when she is driving in the fog, and she's going pretty fast, and I was just like, you gotta slow down. Like, you can't see anything out of this windshield. Like, you are gonna die. And then, you know, obviously she runs into a tree. Spoiler alert, I guess. But yeah.
But yeah, ultimately,
It was making me very upset. Is where I was.
Rightfully so, apparently.
Yeah.
biggest thing for me, especially this year, we got Color Out of Space this year. This movie is essentially the same kind of setup going on throughout here that Color Out of Space is. There's some weird infection. It shows up. Nobody knows where it is. There's people that embrace it. There's people that are scared of it, trying to figure it out. We're seeing the impact and stuff like that. It's just not executed as well. They changed up the seating because for me, Color Out of Space is #1 on my list right now. But I'm also a Lovecraft fanboy and a Nick Cage fanboy. So
Yeah, that thing's kind of. I mean, whatever. That thing's a little flawed too, like in its own way.
yeah, but there's the same.
But
kind
they
of-
lean-
and by extension, it is Annihilation.
But they
too.
lean
Annihilation
into
is
it. They lean into it, and they're much more laser focused on the point they're trying to make,
Exactly.
and driving home the metaphors and the wider message for sure. Like it is a
And they're
despite the
pulling out
chaos.
information that-
Despite the chaos, it's a much tighter version of this kind of thing.
and there's not as much, and like you said, they kind of pinpoint what you have to be afraid of. So like, because that was the same thing I thought when we were talking about this earlier, because sometimes, you know, there was the worms, there was melting people, there was killer fog, there was people, you know, turning white, their eyes white but not melting, yada yada yada. It was all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Beach houses, though. I'll
yeah.
tell you, I am excited. Can't wait.
Just don't drink the water.
Beach house wise, I wasn't that impressed with
I mean,
that
that's
one,
kind
I'll
of
be
the
honest.
other thing is like, I guess they're trying to suggest it's coming in from everywhere. It's like, oh, is it in the water or like the clouds or the food there? And like, I guess part of me enjoys a little bit of the swerve they do, or like the red herring thing with the couple. But on the same hand, then that tension disappears, and then you're just left with the two greenest actors in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I almost wonder if there would have been a way to keep, I don't know, keep them in it at least longer, or make them more relevant to the plot. Because again, it's very much like Annihilation, where you don't get any kind of answer at all.
Well, that's the meat and potatoes of the genre, though. It's a cosmic horror thing, is what they're going for.
Yeah,
so you're
I
not
gotcha.
supposed to know. That's
Yeah,
that's the scary part.
You got to give your, I don't know. I
Yes,
think
they're
it's
not
got to
giving
be
you
done a
enough
little.
information like a Lovecraft story would to build it up for you, though. Either.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, ideally, and this is where Color Out of Space. I mean, like, if there's more characters, you can do more things, right? Like, there can
Yes.
be more action, and there
Right.
can even be more dialogue, so that you're not as reliant on.
Well, a lot of times you'll
you know,
see a
a
character.
college
A lot of times you'll
baseball
see.
team.
There's a lot of things you can do with more people.
And I don't.
John.
And look, like you can
There
pull
you
this
go.
off with just two people, but I just think the script needed to be
It's-
tighter, and you needed different
yeah,
actors to do that.
it's-
I think.
Well, look, this movie was already an hour and 28 minutes or so. I mean, it's.
I think one of
like-
the most interesting things about this though is like I think that especially this year, as we've done more and more of these Shudder things, it's really interesting. Like last year we did so many Netflix original movies, and it really becomes apparent after a while that there is a Netflix original vibe. And in Netflix's case, it's like this 90-minute movie is going to be an hour and 50 minutes. We're going to let these people make the most bleak, depressing movies they want, and we don't care. And just go make whatever. But I think there's a real Shudder original vibe emerging, and it's just like this. It's like decent, kind of sometimes like with some rough edges, indie horror movies that before would have just like ended up on a shelf in Blockbuster. Like, I don't hate this movie at all, and I think a lot of people could watch it and enjoy it, especially people that like to just see a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
well,
this is what I'm saying is this is what Shudder excels at, is being like, yeah, sure, come on, like we have a platform for you, these young
Yeah, they're giving
filmmakers.
people that exposure, and it's no different than we've talked about this before. It's no different than those After Dark Film Fest DVD sets that come out over the last, say, like 10 years ago. That was 10 movies. They put a label to connect them all. They all had that same feel. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like you I don't know if you're gonna want to get into this, but like Netflix, when you those movies you're talking about, like Netflix is like funding those soup to nuts. Like they're paying for the filmmaker. They're buying it outright.
The soup and the nuts.
Shudder is buying these things after the fact, right? Like this movie got made. Shudder saw the movie in its final form. And was like, oh yeah, that. To your point, like that fits in our platform in a way that
they're probably not that expensive. And a filmmaker
definitely.
like this is going to be super eager because the thing you know about Shudder is like they're going to throw you up on that rotator on the homepage. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get that from Netflix.
And this movie wasn't going to be in theater. Like there was never a universe where this was going to get a wide theatrical release. Now it could have played in like
you also have a super targeted audience from Shudder, which you don't at all get with Netflix.
Yeah, it's a safer way for them to release these movies because you have that super targeted audience that's going to go there instead of putting it out in 13 theaters where you don't know if there's horror fans or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just walk in the theater. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know what's happening.
I am a horror fan, and I am showing up to this theater.
Here's $13. Just tell me what theater to go into.
Exactly.
I have definitely gone to theaters before because I was bored and just been like, I'm gonna go see something. Not really new until I got there.
But I haven't done that since like the
that's not
90s.
my life now. But I got you. Yeah. The foot scene was gross. I got a little upset.
Yeah.
I did not like watching that.
I mean, again, like that kind of drives home the fact that like this movie's almost like going up that hill on a roller coaster, and like you're anticipating something,
and
really
then it just
cool,
goes like this.
and then you just get to the top and like, oh no, we're just gonna keep going straight for
Find
the
out you're
next
on
10
the
minutes.
coaster. I didn't think the main girl was that bad in this movie. I mean, she's definitely not the same level as Jake Weber, and it's easy to stand out when you're acting next to a douchebag boyfriend. But like when she got to the second half, I thought she handled it pretty well with the tension and freaking out.
Yeah,
and
no, she's definitely better, and obviously
Of the two, she was definitely
the
best.
I think she did a really good job with that worm scene because that grossed me out.
I mean, the effect isn't amazing, but it's the suggestion of it is enough to be like very cringeworthy.
Yeah.
It
I like
100%.
when
There was
stuff
one...
gets like pulled out. Like I like that.
Yeah.
Like I like that idea.
You
that,
like that?
Oh, that's well. I
You
don't know,
find
you
it
ever,
weirdly
like,
sad.
had, like,
No, I want to explore this. You find it like weirdly satisfying?
Yes.
That's
Yeah. It's
fucked
like
up.
watching those like pimple popper videos,
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's
it's like,
psychotic that you do that.
no one's watching a video.
No,
about someone
no,
doing
John,
popping-
no,
There's a
John,
show.
John. It's a whole genre on the internet,
But it's,
Yeah.
I don't
Dr.
know.
Pimple
Like
Popper?
it's so,
and we
like,
now know,
satisfying
and we
to
now
watch,
know
like,
exactly the kind of person who's into it.
I don't know. I've 100% watched those.
I'm getting sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
even understanding that there is a pimple popper.
John,
video
because
on
here's the other
internet.
thing. You're thinking about a pimple like on your face. This is not what is happening in these videos.
No,
Okay,
no.
Please do not Google
All
it.
right, just stop.
You
There's something
are-
I find very satisfying about like awful things inside you, and then when they come out, like it's got to be like it's like very relieving. It's like when you eat like rotten food and you get like explosive diarrhea, and like
Oh
you
my
feel
God,
awful while it's
Joe.
happening, but after you're empty, you're clean,
Okay,
you feel
okay.
good.
I
God,
take
I
it-
should have known you were going to end up in the bathroom here. This is
I take it back. I don't want to know anything else about this.
So really quick on that, there's one shot in that sequence where it 100% looks like a doll's foot that she's pulling the thing
yeah,
out
that's
of.
what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it's
Leslie and I were watching, and she's like, "What the fuck's up with the toes?"
like I think in another movie they would do this and then they'd be able to augment it a little bit with a little bit of like touch up CGI, and obviously they just couldn't. You know what I mean? I do think when the bodies kind of melt down later, that's a pretty good effect. But again, it's a thing we haven't seen happen in like the whole movie. So I'm just like, is this what happened? Like who? I don't know. It's
And
frustrating.
it's not the same thing that the one time they did show us a hint of it with the old lady in the cabin. You had no clue that they were going to get all melty and all their features melt off and stuff. So it just throws it off even more.
I still will go to bat for Marianne Nagel with the white eyes crawling on the floor. That was
Yeah,
creepy.
no,
Yeah.
she's really good for sure.
Yeah.
And I thought another great visual is the dude just walk into the ocean. Like I love the way they shot it, and because you really using the perspective, they give you a great sense of him just disappearing into the distance, and she's like just losing it.
Yeah,
I'm
No,
with her though.
it was a good
I'm with her though. I'm not going in and try to save him. Sorry, dude.
No,
That's on you, buddy.
No, of course not.
But with the first half of this movie, and as good as like Jake Weber and Marianne Nagel were with the old, creepy old people stuff. They were setting this movie up because I mean it's pretty easy to get in the groove and thinking you're watching something Strangers-esque. They showed up, these people lied to them,
Well,
and you
you
got these
think,
weirdos
yeah.
in your house, and then they pivot away from it, so it's kind of jarring.
And I see
But
why
that
you
would
would.
have been a good movie.
I see
Watching
why
Jim Weber
you.
freak
I
out.
see where your thought process goes there because it's different and
Yeah.
it's unexpected. The problem you then have to confront is what it does to all the tension you've created in the first half of the movie that then completely disappears.
Right. You got to be able to place that tension you built on the new thing, which they don't necessarily.
And they're
do.
lucky that they got that dude to play that character because without him just killing that role, I think you lose a lot
Yeah.
of that tension too. Like I
That
love
first
just
half of
little
the movie would have been a lot more boring.
the first half, but then little moments like right before he goes into the water, like he's just sitting. And this is totally like why I'm thinking Annihilation. Like he's sitting on the beach and talking about how beautiful it, like he's getting real hippie shit about it, and it's like he does really good with those monologues, even though they're not the most gracefully written things.
Yeah, agreed.
Are we done?
I've been done.
Okay. The Beach House. Would you recommend, Casey?
Probably not.
Mr. Joe?
Firm no.
Mr. John?
No.
I don't know. Like maybe. Are you in quarantine looking to watch literally anything? Then sure.
There's so many other movies.
Yeah, but some people watch movies like every night, Joe, and always want something
Yeah.
new. If you're that person, yes. If you're if you're the person who waits for the show to tell you if something's good, do not watch this movie because it's not very good.
Yeah, I don't know. Those people and their cat and their Fig Newtons maybe need to like pick up some other hobbies.
Okay, Joe. You're one to cast aspersions, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Somewhere in deepest space, all hell is breaking loose.
They cut the power.
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
Get them out of there!
Aliens. This time it's war. Aliens, the new movie. Rated R.
This is Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead with Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. John, you can't tell, but I have my blackout shirt on this week. You literally can't see it in this light, but it's there.
I had such a crush on Diane Franklin when I was younger.
Yeah, you say
Everywhere.
that. You say that a lot when I run that bumper.
Really? All right,
Yeah.
well,
No,
here we are.
dude, I get it, man. I get it. I'm with you. Info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. First up, quick update on the book club. This, of course, started by Cece, and now Alyssa has kind of taken the reins and ran with it. Alyssa is a BGH superfan, longtime friend of the show. She's on Slack. They are currently reading Victor Laval's The Devil in Silver. Next month, August, they're going to be reading Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I think I said this last week, but too soon. Goodreads, so search Bloody Good Horror on Goodreads. You can join that for free, talk about the movie with people. And then there's additional discussions that happen on Slack, which you can go to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror and check that out. Next up, we got an update from Sophie on Tweet with BGH. She says, we made it through July, and so Tweet with BGH is moving on from our out-of-sync holiday movies to our theme from August, monster movies. To get things rolling, we're going to be watching Wes Craven's 2005 movie Cursed. I've never seen that. Starring Christina Ricci, Jesse Eisenberg, and Joshua Jackson. You all know who picked this movie. Cursed is available to rent everywhere you stream movies. Gets started at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, August 1st. And that's like a live tweet kind of situation you can do on Twitter. Just follow Tweet with BGH on Twitter. That's from Sophie.
Never even heard of that movie.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It was kind of a big deal at the time because I think it was the next big thing Craven did after Scream, and I think I'm pretty sure Kevin Williamson wrote it. And it was one of those things that got really panned at the time, but I know just nostalgia's sake, a lot of people are big fans of it now. It's like a werewolf kind of situation.
Oh, I don't want to watch that.
You probably would have hated it. You didn't like. You were like too old for Scream, right, Joe? You hated Scream, or you're too edgy.
No, I just.
Just admit it, Joe.
I don't need to get this.
You were one of those no trendy horror people, weren't you?
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought it was cool that like a horror movie was popular. It kind of poked fun at everything I loved.
Yeah, it was too. Yeah, it was made you feel uncomfortable, huh, Joe?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Like feelings?
Yeah, no,
hey,
I'm with
if you guys are looking for an update on Mark Newell, who used to be on this show, he's currently listening to Shania Twain's self-titled debut album from 1993, according to Spotify.
Can we start? Can we start getting weekly Mark Spotify updates? Please?
I don't know, because I have Spotify up in the corner constantly, and I just looked over and I'm like,
no, it's
it's listening to Shania Twain?
Honestly, it's my.
If he feels like a woman.
It's my favorite feature of the desktop version. It gives you a real window into what's going on in other people's heads.
Well, that's the thing, Casey. It's not the album with, like Still the One or Man. No, this is deep cuts.
I mean, honestly, like I could get that album you're talking about, Joe. I can get down with some of that. I'm with you there.
Really? I've never heard of any of these songs.
No. Like the album you're talking about with the actual songs.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, no, Mark's going like.
No,
off
I'm
the
not.
grid, like...
I'm not digging in the crates here trying to find the throwback.
It's for super fans only, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We got a Joe. This one's for you, buddy. Kaylin Kissimmee. She'd like to continue your therapy session. Joe, I just have a thought for you about your kissing conundrum. One time, I blew off a guy in middle school because I thought that if he called, my parents would know about him, and then my parents would start asking about him and wonder and want to see pictures of him, and that they would think I had literally no taste or would give me a lecture about something. So I blew him off for that sole reason. Whenever he would try to contact me or ask about hanging out. I know it's so different between ages, but it's just a thought. Thanks for making me think about my cringe middle school life. Kaylin from Kissimmee. Well, thanks for making Joe think that thought, because that's not great.
Yeah, that doesn't make me. So I've actually, the wife and I have had like further discussions about this since last week.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure.
So I came to this realization, like, it's not so much that I care why or like if she just rejected me because she decided like I wasn't like good enough for her or whatever. Like I equated it to the end of The Sopranos, right? Like you go black, you don't know what happens to Tony. Like I just want to know why. Like I just need an answer as to like what like
this is interesting. Yeah, so this is like a theme in your life. You are very uncomfortable with uncertainty.
I just need closure. I need to know like so Leslie's.
So you don't like cliffhanger endings.
No, I mean it depends. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like I had no problem with the end of The Sopranos. Like I kind of liked what they did. This is my actual life. It's not a TV show. Like Leslie's theory is that she was going off to college, and over the 36 hours between her leaving the number and blowing me off, like she talked to her friends like, what are you doing? Why are you gonna deal with like a high school guy? Like you're going away, like you got your own stuff. So
that's Leslie's trying to make you feel better here. I don't know.
No, Leslie definitely
John,
was not.
John, have you listened to any story Joe has told about her?
Yeah, no, you're right. I've met Leslie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she lives to fuck with Joe.
Yeah, exactly. She was not there to make me feel better.
Okay. Sorry, Joe. I just was reading the email, buddy. So Cece's not here, so I'm not going to read this, but I just want to shout out Slacker and friend of the show, Chris Gardner, for sending Cece a couple of lovely mocktail recipes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
While she must abstain from alcohol, so that was very nice. Thank you, Chris. I think Cece was excited. I'm sure.
She was pretty excited.
Yes. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We're also on Twitter, Joe.
At BG Horror is our Twitter handle, and we use the hashtag AskBGH every week if you want to send in a question about the movie or anything else in life. First up, from our buddy Skizbot, and I like this because he actually tagged John and the Twitter account that he hasn't used in like 10 years. After 2 weeks in a row.
Wait, is it even still active? Like, could you log in if you wanted to?
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I could definitely log in.
Why don't you do that,
Can you
John?
try?
Oh, no.
Can you tweet during the show? I'd really like to see that happen.
No, I'm
Live.
not going to do that.
You can live tweet it. After 2 weeks in a
Just,
row,
just tweet, "Hey, comma world."
Just let him read the goddamn shit.
No, now I'm into this. Like, just start tweeting like political statements, John.
No, I logged in to change my password after like there was like a hack or like whatever. I was worried about the password, so
Can you log in and just tweet like it's 2008 again? Just pretend like, just be like, boy, I really like this Obama guy. He seems like he's got a lot of smart plans.
Michelle's podcast came out today, so
I have not
you know,
listened. Has
sure
anyone?
people could be talking about that. No, definitely not.
Mm.
I mean, not that like people.
Point
would have
taken,
it,
John.
You know,
Point taken.
I got a lot of shit going
Busy.
on, Joe. I'm not clearing my schedule for that.
Too
right
busy telling people about the dangers of having sex with demons. All right. Anyway, Skizbot. After 2 weeks in a row of beach-based murder, monster, and death, are you guys actively trying to freak John out?
Yeah. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Come on. Been down this
next-
road.
Next up from Fusili Toro. Do you think Rob Zombie would be a better filmmaker if he would take a film theory class or two?
Yes.
Dude, he's like 50
No.
years old, man. Like the ship has fucking sailed. People need to let it go.
Well, it's only
And
gonna-
I made
it's
this
like
point the
gonna
last time we
make
did
him-
I made this point the last time we did a Rob Zombie movie. He's a rich dude who every once in a while is gonna pull out his toys and play with them, and that's how we need to treat him. You want to watch it and you like it, go for it, dude. But like,
Yeah.
I get bummed out when I see people get bummed out because they think the next movie's gonna be the one. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, when someone tells you who they are over and over, you gotta listen, John. That's a life lesson,
Yeah.
okay?
No,
That's
I
not
mean-
just
If
about Rob
there's-
Zombie.
If there's one thing the last 4 years has taught us is that you're not going to change anyone over the age of 50's mind. You just have
No,
to wait
dude.
for him to drop dead.
Yeah, that's real shit, dude. Seriously.
Oh Lord.
You just hope they drop dead soon and, they're out of your way.
Before November.
Next up from our buddy Joe, PS Trophy Hunter. I assume that's Philly Sixers, John. I believe he's a Philadelphia fan, the PS.
I guess I've never heard anyone say PS as the.
Well, I mean, you can't put Philadelphia 76ers Trophy Hunter. That's too long.
We can follow up with him about his name.
I'm gonna say that I got this correct. What is your favorite movie of the year, and why is it Joey King's new flick, The Kissing Booth 2?
Oh my god, I did see that. I think that's a Netflix joint.
When was the
right?
last time
You know
we
what?
did a Joey King joint? She was in
Mary-
Slender Man, right?
Yeah.
She was in did we do Wishbox? We did.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
that
know
was
if we did it
before.
or-
So
That
we did
was a
Slender Man
while
after that.
Yeah. Mary on Slack just like tagged me and said like The Kissing Booth 2 is out on Netflix, and I had no idea what the fuck she was talking about. I'm like, I don't care.
Really, Joe? Because that sounds like all that Hallmark bullshit you watch.
Well, that's exactly what I thought it was, and then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, I see.
Wasn't that movie called Wish Upon?
Wish Upon?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah,
they called?
Wish Upon.
Wishing
That was-
Box?
Literally, all I can remember is the dad at the end trying to cut the tree branch with one leg on the ladder, reaching out with one hand with the fucking chainsaw. It's like that and Slut
We
for
might need to
Wontons.
revisit that movie.
Yeah.
I think there's some
Pretty
classic
good.
moments.
Yeah. Next up from Nuke Spook. If you had the opportunity to remake a bad sequel to a great horror movie, what would it be? Book of Shadows doesn't count because it was great.
Because it's great. Yeah, good. Correct answer. I don't know, man. These questions always I can't think of anything when people say.
Yeah, I can't think of any shitty sequels, and I feel bad now.
Well, the only shitty sequels I can think of are
what
to
about
like.
Last Exorcism 2? That was a real.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
God
that's a good
awful.
one.
I mean,
That's a
can I
really good-
remake it by not make? Can I demake that?
Yeah,
Because it wasn't.
unmake
It wasn't a movie that needed
Yeah.
a sequel in the first place.
yeah. I loved The Conjuring. I hated the second one. Like I could.
Oh,
could
that's
do it.
interesting.
The
I think
second
some people prefer
Conjuring.
Conjuring 2,
The
don't
second
they?
Conjuring, the ones in England, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
around Christmas. Yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever. I'm so sick of those movies in general. But yeah, I'm with you.
Insidious 2, Sinister 2.
I don't remember any of those
Same-
movies at
same
all. Like, I
movie,
know we
John.
watched them, but I don't remember anything about them.
But I'm saying like the not remembering them is
Yeah.
probably a sign that they're
Yeah, no, it's very
hot
much a sign.
garbage.
I don't think I enjoyed the first ones, John. To be honest.
Really? Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Let's get to know each other tonight. All right. Next up from our good friend Whitney. That's Whitney's Please. When do we get a spin-off show of Joe contacting people who have burned him in the past?
I would volunteer extra time to produce it if we could do that.
I don't want to relive some of these memories.
You kind of do though, Joe. Like you you
don't.
don't.
They're like the men in my family. They're kind of like our emotions, right? Like you let them out, like Vulcans have sex, like once every 7 years, and when they come out, like they're just giant floods of rage.
They're just terrifying. Yeah, wow, dude, that's scary. And
we haven't gotten a Vulcan reference in maybe ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next up from our buddy Metal Prof. I think this may have been missed last time around. If not, just ignore me. Villain aside, what's the best setting for a horror film? Camp Crystal Lake, Haddonfield, Georgetown, etc.?
I like Camp Crystal Lake a lot because it's so secluded. Like you don't have to do a lot of work to make that feel desolate. Like the problem with Haddonfield is there's been so many movies they've shot in so many different places. You gotta almost talk like, well, which one are we talking about? The one in Texas, the one in California, like the one they actually shot in it, you know? And but Camp Crystal Lake like changes a lot too, but it's always at least there's like trees and grass and shit, and you're just in the woods.
Yeah, I love like Zombieland and Ghoulies 2, like anything that takes place
parks?
in a amusement
that can
parks.
be really cool for sure. I really love too like the Southwest, like settings like Feast where you just get or like Tremors.
I was gonna say desert.
Yeah, partially because it's just not.
Sweet.
It's not my life and life experience, so I like it. Feels very exotic to me, and it's it's really easy to make it feel isolated and like secluded, and you get these really weird, interesting characters because they're secluded, and you know.
So I this is like a very generic answer to this question, but I like anything where the setting itself is like a threat to people. Like so, desert is one of those, right? Where it's like you would die in the desert if you were left there. I love anything on the water. And then space, you know, the scariest place of all.
Space can be good. It can also be bad, but yeah, I'm with you there.
Well, yeah, anything can be bad. Beach houses could be good and or terrible settings. So,
Old Men on Edibles could be bad.
That's sometimes.
All right, next up, someone who's in the running for being my favorite listener ever after this question. She's Miss. I believe I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but whatever.
I am positive you are, because that wasn't even, you just made noises. That wasn't a word.
Well, it's CHIISAIMISS. What would you call that? Chismus.
Sure.
Chasms.
Anyway, she asks, Joe, why are you such an absolute cunt about this?
Yes. Hell yeah, that person.
Oh my lord. First of all, how do you know it's a female or a woman?
Favorite listener.
After I got that, I started like looking at her tweets, and I pieced together that it is a female.
Oh boy.
I believe she's also referencing like the last few weeks, because tweets have been slow. I've gotten more and more.
Oh, were there the tag, the hashtag?
Yeah. Probably that, and just
By the way, would you mind
be talking about a lot of things?
By the way, Joe, would you mind reading live on air what your tweet was today, asking for questions? Because
the one she replied to, just about 2 hours till we go live on our next episode. Holy shit, it's gonna be so hot. Please, for the love of Christ, get your questions in with the @BGH tag, and we'll really answer them so hard on this show. Holy shit. It's just.
Christ.
But you know what, Eric? We got responses.
Yeah, dude, it worked.
Next up from @NMS Uric. Hey guys, I'm getting a daughter in 3 months. Any tips?
Congrats.
Pepto-Bismol.
Now while you can.
I don't know. All that stuff passes. I would say, like, I was freaked out because I never had sisters. I wasn't sure how to deal with a daughter. And
no, daughters,
it's amazing.
Daughters themselves are amazing. Yeah, no, I'm just talking about having a kid.
Yeah. Pretty good with that too. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Joe, I will commend you for considering with the stories I've heard about your childhood, it really is kind of amazing how good of a dad you are.
Oh God.
So I'm giving you some props, Joe.
Let's,
Come a long way.
no disrespect to my parents, but the bar was pretty low. I believe by second grade, my mom was telling me how fat I was.
Jesus Christ. That's what I'm saying, Joe. I know you're better.
Oh Lord.
All right. Next up from Hover Female, that's our friend Lori. I quit my job this week. I'm officially unemployed. It's terrifying, yet exciting. What is your absolute dream job? What's mine? Should I start a coven? A mobile sheep shearing service? Bologna tester?
I have a super specific answer for this. I want to be like a media archivist at like a really old college. And I want to like work in a basement somewhere, and I basically want to be a character from like a Miyazaki film where like you have to go talk to this person on your spirit journey. You know what I mean?
So you
And,
want
like,
to be John?
I was gonna say, Eric, I feel like I got my balls busted when I talked about working in the rare book room.
I want
Literally,
the rare
John
book
that
room
we
is
made
different,
fun of
John.
for 10
Okay.
years.
Well, it was a library. I mean,
I want to, like-
I processed photos from the 1860s. I don't know. That's
That's
in your
cool.
wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna keep going.
Well, I mean, they're like all portraits for the most part, but yeah. I have seen. So when I was living in New York, we went to a farm upstate, like an hour outside the city, not that far. And it was a sheep shearing day. It was like they did like a big sheep. Those mofos make a lot of money.
You want to wait a sec. You want to shear sheep? Is that what you're telling me?
No,
right
no.
now?
She asked. That was like one of the jobs, and I'm saying that is a very lucrative profession. But these dudes have been doing it for like forever.
Yeah,
and
John, I love you, but you're like me. You're not cut out for that. Okay.
No,
John, no.
I saw these dudes, and there was some women doing it. It wasn't just guys. But I was like, nope.
I know you're
couldn't do
feeling.
it.
I know you're feeling rugged with your 6 months of facial hair you got going on, but
It's weird.
well, let's be
I'm
realistic.
confused, John. Are you
Yeah,
saying
he's
you're
being positive to her new job process.
Yeah, that was one that she threw out. I'm saying, if you can make it work, Godspeed.
But I'm saying, like, John, you made it sound like that was your dream job, and then admitted that you could never possibly do that.
Nah, Joe, I'm still holding on for baseball player. So.
All right. Mine, I don't think it's even a job I could get anymore, but it was, there's this ride in Epcot called Living with the Land, where they used to have, like, pretty much, they give you, like, a history of, like, the plains and the deserts and things like that, and then you go into this giant greenhouse where, like, they grow giant fruits and stuff, and they used to have, like, these men who were pretty much on their deathbed narrating it, like, just with a microphone, and, like, so you get into this room and just be like, there's a banana growing right there, and like that was my dream job,
That's
but they
weird.
replaced it with just the soundtrack, and
That's real weird.
but
Just
I don't know.
robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Epcot. Like, I just want to work at Epcot, be like a greeter or something when I retire.
One of the people that yells at everyone to wear a mask.
How about bloody good horror, John?
Yeah, no, that's
Well,
fair.
like in a world where I could
Oh,
just
no.
be my job.
No, I'm just waiting for something better to come along.
Yeah, I know, Joe.
I have long-term dreams of becoming a research professor.
Yeah.
I want to be the weird old professor teaching your class.
Yeah, I mean you're obviously cultivating that look, so I get where that's coming
Yeah.
from.
Would not let my kid go anywhere fucking near you, Casey.
it'll be colleges be different.
Yeah.
Probably be totally online.
Same answer. Next up from Cody Yolo, day one purchase, ? And it is a picture of Gremlins 2, the new batch, Ultimate Greta the female gremlin. I don't know what this is exactly,
Joe.
but I don't know if it's the movie itself, and I don't
Maybe
know,
it's like
but
a collector's edition that comes with it or something.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm in though.
We know. Yeah, we're familiar.
One more from Cody Yolo. Kill Bang Mary. All right. Brendan Fraser in The Mummy, Hugh Jackman in Van Helsing, Benicio del Toro in The Wolfman.
I don't want Brendan Fraser anywhere and his weird eyes anywhere near me, so kill him. And
Really?
I don't care about
Wow.
him, dude. And I'll marry Hugh
I was actually
Jackman.
thinking the same.
I'll marry Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman because he
Yeah.
seems like a sweetheart.
No, I'd fuck Hugh
Well,
Jackman.
Benicio, I think we all agree Benicio del Toro is getting killed, right?
Yeah.
No, are you kidding me?
No? All right.
I don't know. I think he's pretty cool.
I mean, I like him, but of the other
I'd hold out hope.
Total
Brendan
sweetheart.
Fraser is like a barely functioning human being, John.
What?
No, he's not.
You ever seen that video of him
Where is this
clapping?
coming from? You're basing that entire thing on a
No.
weird clap.
No, well, you guys
That
are.
is a great meme, though.
You guys are fucking
respect the Brendan
crazy.
Fraser clap.
You guys are
Hey,
crazy.
Brendan Fraser's in Doom Patrol, which is pretty fantastic. So I'll
Yeah.
I'll back him up.
I feel like I could live out the rest of my days very happily with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
You
Seems
know,
like a nice guy.
I don't
would,
get
Joe.
it, but it makes sense for you, Joe, and that's
Especially
okay, I
these
guess.
days, it looks like his diet lines up with mine.
All right, I'm not gonna stand for fat shaming of Brendan Fraser on the show. Speaking of things that we wish would go away, C.O.W. Flanagan in with another entry. Such a fond memory from childhood, going to the picture show and being transported to a land of magic by old. I'm not finishing this. Nope, I'm done. No, I'm absolutely done.
Oh, can I see it? I want to see it.
Yeah.
Just ping it to us.
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
We
if
got two
Joe
more-
refuses to read it, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could
I'm
it be a
done.
spicy meatball?
It sounds like maybe C.O. Flanagan's working blue tonight, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Next up, too, from Mary Screaming. If you had to go on a date with one horror movie villain, who do you think would be best? Who would be best at romancing you?
What the?
Does
Who-
the
And
does the
romancing
guy
me?
who's like the evil scientist in Human Centipede count? Like, can I go with
Yeah.
him?
You think he would romance you? Yeah, sure.
Just he seems like a talker, you know.
John, that's a weirdly specific answer. Like
I don't know,
you
it's-
came
it's
up with
okay to
that
mine.
very fast.
Eric, I let my mind be open. You know,
You just
some
yeah,
possibilities.
you cleared your head and it
Nobody's gonna
just
say claim Mads Mikkelsen from Hannibal. That dude could manipulate
good.
just about anybody into anything.
There you go.
yeah. You know what? Maybe Hannibal Lecter. He seems like a real smooth
I-
talker.
I feel like Pinhead would be very sensual, and I think I could, really. enjoy
No,
myself.
we've seen him hit on women at the bar at the hotel. He is not.
Oh, really?
I have
think
not
missed
seen that, but I've seen weirder things at conventions.
Yeah, he wasn't that. He wasn't creepy or anything, so he wasn't that bad. Just not smooth.
I don't know. I saw John and David Hess share a romantic moment about Duke basketball once, so
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then immediately after refused to even take a picture with you.
Well,
Um,
he was just trying to
all
have a basketball moment.
One more from Mary Screaming. If you had to go on a date with... Oh, wait. I think she may have said... Wait, what the fuck? All right, I'm just going to read it. If you had to go on a date with one horror movie villain, who do you think would be the best at romancing you? For the sake of the exercise, we will assume that all villains are genderless and attracted to you. Oh, I think she just added on to the last question. I could have probably read
Doesn't
it, but-
matter. You know, I'm gender neutral on these things.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all went with men anyway. All right, last but not least, Erie, Arizona. When is Joe going to message that nymph on Facebook so we can get closure?
I think maybe he got talked off the ledge, it seems like, which is probably good.
I don't know. My the wife suggested I read that book. She's just not that into you.
Joe,
Thought
can we hit up Instagram too, or do we already do that?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that, but yeah, we absolutely.
Let's
can.
just leave it on the docket from now on, unless we're like way over.
No, I can.
I like the
definitely do that.
Instagram questions because they're a lot simpler and more
Yeah.
pointed usually.
They're a little more rapid fire, right?
Yeah, so it's the lightning round of questions.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one from James Jeffrey, 1986. Insane Munchie attack hits. What's your go-to?
Okay, are we talking in 2020 or let's say like 1998? Because
I just think in general, like, what are you going for?
well,
Salt and vinegar chips.
I have to transport
Slam
myself
dunk.
back to have any kind of fun answer. So I would let's say we're in the late 90s and I'm going Pizza Hut from the fridge or Doritos.
Yeah, I definitely hit the chips. So the wife and I have gotten into like smoking Friday and Saturday nights, or sometimes just Saturday nights. So we're like planning ahead with what I think my munchies are going to be. And I've recently revisited Top Ramen, and it is money.
Been there, done that. My go-to is Funyuns. Quality
Deadly.
stuff.
I've probably told this story every time we talk about smoking, but like I get so excited because like I'm not going to be hungover the next day and I'm going to feel fine. And like some days I'm great, but most times I'm just like, as soon as I smoke, I'm like, I'm going to eat everything in this fucking house right now. Like, So I end up feeling worse the next day if I had just gotten super drunk.
I super used to be like that. I'm not as an adult, weirdly. I don't know why, but when I was a teenager, dude, look the fuck out. It didn't matter.
It could be from what you're buying too.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, literally, like, I would not stop until I hurt myself because you just don't know. Like, you don't know until it's too late.
Like Sunday, we ate dinner and I was full, and then we smoked, and I'm like, all right, we need to make an agreement right now. Like, I'm not gonna eat everything in this house. And like once we kind of settled that, like things were fine. Like, so I think I just need to tell myself beforehand. The thing is, like, I get so excited on like a Saturday night that we're gonna have a good time that like I just start going to town.
I know you hate Kevin Smith, Joe, but in one of his stage shows that are actually really funny, he has a great story about getting insanely high and ordering like $200 to be delivered from like a convenience store, like worth of snacks.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I can totally see that happening.
Years and years ago, in our first apartment in Indy, we had this crappy little electric oven in the apartment, and Delaney had just been born. That's how long ago it was. But Colleen was making barbecue ribs, and what we knew they were going to take hours to cook in the electric oven, so she put them in, and then we smoked and forgot about it, and then all of a sudden, like at 9:30 at night, the alarm went off. We're like, oh no, there's magic barbecue ribs. It was the best thing ever.
That is terrifying when like doing any sort of cooking.
Oh yeah, that's what the air fryer's for, Joe.
Industrial fallout. What should I have for dinner tonight? Keep in mind it's 99 degrees here.
Salad. When it's real hot, I like to do salad with a little grilled chicken or something. It's cool.
Soup, just a nice soup.
Well, you could do gazpacho. Isn't that like cold soup or something?
All right, this one from my buddy Fuji Billy got a lot of response on the old Instagrams. What's the best facial hair in horror movie history?
Bill Moseley in Devil's Rejects. Absolutely no. A terrible movie. Incredible beard.
Really?
Yes.
No.
I will get a picture right now, Joe.
So I went with Ryan Reynolds in the Amityville Horror reboot.
Yeah, but it's too well groomed. I like it a little wild.
Ryan Reynolds.
You know?
But also my initial thought was Kurt Russell in The Thing, or
yes.
What's his name? Brolin in the original Amityville Horror.
Kurt
Russell
has to
be from a John Carpenter movie. Like there's so many options.
I would throw out Jonathan Pryce from Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Oh,
yeah, a little more fancy. No, I think I will concede, John, that Kurt Russell's. That's a really good pick.
That is a good beard.
Yeah.
Really, any Kurt Russell, like just.
Right. I'm just gonna, just for posterity's sake, I'm just giving you guys this Bill Moseley picture, because I remember seeing this picture on Facebook
I know what it looks like,
and being like,
I was like digging around, like looking up, like no, like that's
all right, man,
fucking hobo coming to attack me, like that's not.
I'm into the well-groomed hobo thing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. Clearly.
Well, it does. Bill Moseley's beard is kind of Uncle Traveling Matt looking, isn't it? Maybe that's
Uncle
where does
Uncle. No, he doesn't. He have like a.
No, he has
does he even have a beard?
The Fu Manchu does.
Yeah, he's got a Fu Manchu.
I have my Uncle Traveling Max Funko Pop right behind me. Joe Wan's secret: werewolf versus zombie. Does it result in 2 zombie werewolves or 2 regular zombies?
I think the zombie takes over, and they're both dead at that point.
I think the zombie dies after biting the werewolf, and then the werewolf turns into like a werewolf zombie.
Nah.
No. John says no.
No, I've done the science on this. I think
sure.
The research. All right. David Wen Studio. What's the secret to making great guacamole at home?
Buying it from the grocery store.
Just do it how you like it. Like, I don't like cilantro, so I leave it out. Like, don't feel like you got to do some fancy ass recipe. Like, all you need is like garlic. You get some smoked paprika or something, some salt, some tomatoes, maybe. Like, don't go crazy. Onion.
I've never made my own guacamole. I may have to check that out.
I'm mildly allergic to avocados.
Oh, I love avocados.
That's a bummer. Yeah, I like some.
It's all right.
But I'll do like a really loose, like, I don't like, people go crazy with like, I'm not busting out the food processor. Like, I'm just going to mash it up with some spices I like and some onions if I'm feeling crazy, and that's about it.
Avocados are pretentious to me. Like, they seem like a pretentious.
Well, that's the other thing. So like, I used to buy them a lot more, but in the last couple of years the prices have skyrocketed, so I just kind of refuse to buy them out of principle because they're like insanely expensive now.
Yeah. It's those fuckers putting it on toast and trying to make a meal out of that.
I mean, it's also climate change, but yes, Joe.
not trying to make anybody feel guilty, but have you looked into the history of the avocado and why they get like because they're like all owned by cartels and shit?
Oh, I'm
it's
sure.
not great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not.
I'm sure any piece of
it's
fruit.
like terrible.
I'm sure any piece of fruit I ate came from someplace awful, Casey.
Next up from Duck Sensual. I'm just a little lonely today. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired, but I'm okay.
Tired.
I'm fine.
Yeah, man.
I actually meant to skip that one, but then I just got through the name. Ryan's ha. What's the metric equivalent of Brock Lesnar and Candyman's?
Metric.
What's the metric equivalent of Brock Lesnar?
Does that
and
mean they have to
Candyman?
be British people?
I don't know.
I would have to do
my
more research
response
here.
was, "This is fucking America," and I don't have to answer that.
What about that guy who played the Mountain on Game of
I'm
Thrones?
pretty sure he's like Swedish or German or some shit. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
Yeah,
British.
but he's
follow the
European.
metric system?
They have the metric system.
Oh, okay, all right. I see where you're going.
What about Vinnie Jones?
I was gonna say Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. I don't think he's like that big, is he? I mean, he kicks ass.
It depends how much HGH has he done before the current movie he's gonna be on.
Yeah,
He's pretty jacked as Bane.
yeah. It's been a while.
I mean, Vinnie Jones was a rugby player, wasn't he?
I'm a Tom Hardy appreciator, John. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he just seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he really does.
Did you ever see that movie Bronson?
No, I,
Yeah,
heard,
yeah.
I heard it's really good though.
Yeah, it's great.
That's pretty fun.
Full peen.
Yeah.
We've definitely had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Emprezia, the last one. The Collector 3 or The Guest 2? Which rumored sequel are you looking forward to?
Somebody asked the
Guess
same
too.
question last week, right? I don't think I've seen
No.
a guest. Did I see? I think I missed that week or something.
Yeah, it'd have to
Yeah.
be The Guest too, because I don't know that I've watched a full Collector movie yet.
What is the guest
I
about?
didn't know
Remind
there
me.
was a Collector 2.
Yeah, it was called The Collection, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If you say so.
I'm pretty sure.
That's it.
I'm not big on the old collector films. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. It was okay. It was fine, but nothing crazy.
Okay.
right.
Next week. Sorry, guys. I'll be on vacation. Have fun. And,
Yeah, so-
Same.
For the first time, really, since the quarantine hit, both of you guys are abandoning the audience. I just would like to
Yeah.
point that out right now.
Yeah, no.
So I think we're gonna get.
No shame.
I think we're gonna get wacky. Do something. We're gonna pick an '80s movie or something. Just have some fun and have some guests on. We haven't done that in a while, so I'm excited. Although I will miss you guys. I just want you to know that.
Well, I won't say the same.
No, I
But,
wish I could. I wish I could.
Super not cool, but okay.
I'll miss Schnars a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it.
We're gonna spend the whole
Um,
episode just breaking down the parking lot nymph story without Joe here.
Whatever. If
Uh,
you guys can.
We'll have a whole
debunk-
panel of women on and just get opinions on what happened. I think we're onto something here. So yeah, we're gonna get. Honestly, I'm probably just gonna go to Shudder and like see what is on there that's fun and go from there. But we'll if you pay attention to social media, we'll be tweeting about it. We'll tell people on Slack and the Big Show channel, Instagram, and yeah. So we'll definitely be here next week. And I guess that does it for the Beach House. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.